Hey guys, and welcome back to the podcast, The Global Change Project.
Today, we're going to be talking about Katia's topic, which is deforestation and greenhouse gases.
Okay, so do you guys know what deforestation is?
Not
Kind
really.
of.
So deforestation is the permanent removal of trees to make room for something besides forests. So usually when deforestation happens is because we want room for more stuff. So one of the main, the number one thing that we want room for is agriculture. So we use a lot of palm oil, and that's where we grow it, where we destroy basically the forest. And it has a lot of effects on the climate because you know how the Amazon forest is like very big and like vital to the oxygen or whatever.
Yeah, doesn't it bring like majority of our oxygen?
Yeah, and it's so basically forests cover about 30% of the Earth's land surface, and it provides food, medicine, or fuel for like a lot of people. What kind of effects do you guys think that it does it have on those who are dependent on the forest?
I think like on animals, it makes like lots of species like go extinct at some point because that's basically their home, or like migrate from one place to another, where I guess they're not really used to the environment.
Yeah, loss of habitat is like a big one that we know we've kind of seen with a lot of deforestation is animals literally being driven out of like their home.
Forests are home to about 80% of terrestrial biodiversity, containing a wide array of trees, plants, and animals. And it's not just animals that depend on the forest. There is there's villages and stuff that depend on the forest and stuff like that. Deforestation not only removes vegetation that is important for removing carbon dioxide from the air, but it also produces greenhouse gases, which is, do you guys know what that is?
Somewhat.
Kind of, yeah.
It's called the greenhouse effect. It's basically the exchange of incoming and outgoing radiation that warms the Earth, and it's referred to this as the greenhouse effect because a greenhouse works in like the same way basically. And it's basically just like gases like, for example, carbon dioxide going into the air and being trapped up there, and they usually take years for them to go away. And a little bit is fine, but since we're producing so much carbon dioxide, it's literally stressing the planet out, and it's warming the planet basically.
I know factories are a big contributor to greenhouse gases. But aren't killing animals also a big contributor to that?
Yeah, for example, agriculture, like cows. Cows produce methane when they burp, or when like they basically when they burp. And since a lot of people depend on meat, there's a lot of cows that we have to basically raise, and it produces a lot of methane, and it goes up to the air. Cars produce carbon dioxide. That's why it's better if you go on to walk somewhere or go on a bike or a train or a bus instead of a car.
Many factories do it too. Like when they make like clothes and stuff, they release like carbon dioxide into the atmosphere too.
Do you guys know what carbon footprint is?
I've heard of it, but I've never really gone into like a deep dive into it.
Okay, so carbon footprint is basically measuring how much carbon you in the air. And carbon footprint is determined by, for example, how many miles you drive, what do you eat, your energy bill or whatever. There's a website that you can determine how much your carbon footprint is.
So in everything we do, we have a footprint of carbon.
What's it called? I already mentioned the food and everything. Like, for example, if you take flights too, basically your house is like your electricity, your heating oil, your propane, anything like that. how many, or I already mentioned flights, but like how many flights you take a year, how many miles you do per, like in the car, like what's your car, and like basically everything like affects it.
That's crazy.
So I have a question. I don't know if you guys can answer, but so like when looking at like your carbon footprint, would that be looking at also like the impact that you make overall? So like for example, you were saying like what you eat and how much you drive your car or whatever. So like when you're looking at like things that like at what you eat, it is your carbon footprint also calculated by like how you get your food? Like for example, like if you eat a certain amount of meat,
Yeah, it is. Like for example, I was reading that a vegetarian diet is better. However, if you eat a lot of dairy, it's still kind of the same as eating meat because you're still
using a cow.
So like the most efficient way, I guess, is being vegan. But I know a lot of people can't afford that, or they don't want to. Like nobody's forcing them to. But like, there are ways to resolve or like bring down your carbon footprint. There's like you can drive less. You can start walking, using a bike, take a train or a bus to get places instead of driving. You could fly less. You could eat less meat. For example, start meatless Mondays or something like that. Or you can waste less. Like take stock, plan, don't cook more than you eat. And then you can start recycling. Like there are ways for us to like reduce our carbon footprint without changing our whole schedule.
I feel like even then people are still gonna not wanna reduce their footprint at all.
I know, even by like reducing like our own use of trees, like you know how we use them for all these different things, for like wood and stuff, that could actually make a big impact too on deforestation or like ending it.
Because like a lot of people don't know, but there's palm oil in a lot of things. Like for example, Oreos. That's just wait, hold on. Let me look up some stuff that has palm oil.
Oof, and I just had some Oreos.
I mean, it's okay as long as you don't have like you don't eat them like.
Your carbon footprint went up, Giselle.
Contributor.
Wait, so for example, like if you eat a certain amount of meat, your carbon footprint goes up, right? But counting just you eating that meat or everything it takes to create that meat?
There is actually a carbon footprint calculator, believe it or not. It says food and drink products, and then it has the choices for a heavy meat eater, a medium meat eater, a low meat eater, vegetarian or vegan, and then it's how much money you spend on it per year or per month.
Okay.
It like depends on how much meat you eat and how much you spend on it.
Okay. So as far as like accuracy, it's pretty accurate.
Yeah. Like there's also like your clothes, your computers, your TV, your phone, furniture, basically everything is taken into account.
That's cool. I mean, that's a really good idea for making people more aware. I think Giselle, like a couple minutes ago, asked like, what did you ask Giselle? Where you were like, where she was like, how is that gonna change what people do? You know what I'm talking about, Giselle?
It was more of a comment saying that I don't know how people are gonna have adjust to it, and I don't think people are going to be able to adjust to it to change their routine.
Yeah. Okay, so like I'm pretty sure. Well, I don't know about like you, Giselle and Haley, right? But I didn't know that there was a carbon footprint calculator. Like I didn't know that was a thing, and I feel like we have such a good opportunity with things like the media to kind of share that with people, and I feel like things like the carbon footprint calculator that could hold a lot of people accountable, especially for things like deforestation. Like, do you know where all your products are coming from and like how bad you are for the planet? Because I feel like you could preach about living more sustainably and doing better for the planet, but like you never really know, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, so I have a list here of it's not brands, but stuff that has palm oil. So for example, lipsticks have palm oil in them because it's used to hold the color well. It doesn't melt at high temperatures and has a smooth application and has virtually no taste to it. Which actually kind of surprised me because I don't know what I thought lipstick was made out of, but not that.
Wax.
A lot of things you're gonna be surprised. Like pizza dough has palm oil in it. Instant noodles, shampoo, ice cream, detergent, butter, basically, chocolate, cookies, biodiesel, soap, packaged bread.
So it's kind of basically something we eat or use every day.
Basically, yeah.
It's like in our everyday routine.
Oh my god.
It's crazy to think about that. Every single day we're actually contributing without even like knowing.
And sometimes it's the fact that we don't know. We're not being taught any of this.
And that's what kind of like hurts even more. We should have like 100% education on this so we know and could be aware. That way we can do something about it.
And I'm not saying to stop like your schedule, like you have to change it up, but like little by little you can change. You don't have to fully change it like everything at once.
Yeah, because it'll be really hard if you just do it like, okay, tomorrow I'm just not going to do this anymore. It's going to be hard and you're just going to go right back into it.
I feel like schools should also educate like their students on these problems too, instead of like having them learn the same thing every year and then ignoring the problems we do face every day.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys remember in chemistry we learned about like climate change and stuff?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like it wasn't good. Like we just learned about like the
basics.
Yeah, the gases and everything.
And I feel like the videos didn't even like go into too much detail. They just wanted us to know like what
It's a thing, like, you know,
and like what is being heard and stuff like that, but they don't want us to know the truth. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like they kind of like they want to teach us the basics of it and then expect us to do our own research.
Yeah, or even then like just know the basics and then not even do anything about it.
Well, and also I feel like we talked about it in the first episode. We kind of touched on like how industries benefit and stuff like that. I feel like there is a lot of people that don't want us to know like how much we contribute. Like, why do we need to have palm oil in so many of our products? Like, I'll understand it to like Katia was saying, like, what else did she think that like lipstick would be made out of? But like in our bread, in our pizza dough, like I feel like there's so many different alternatives to that. And I feel like the reason that's so prominent in our society is because the industries are benefiting from it.
But like I don't understand how the school benefits from not telling us. Like,
yeah.
Sooner or later we're gonna find out.
That's what this podcast is for.
We're
gonna make you guys woke.
I don't know. When I was researching stuff, it was just kind of surprising because, like, I just never heard of this. And, like, well, actually, no. I have heard of, like, palm oil before, but it was, like, I just never knew that it was in so much stuff.
Yeah. Same.
And how it was made. I never knew that.
Wait, okay.
Sorry. Continue.
Oh, okay. So I just wanted to... So palm oil comes from what? Like, it comes from the trees?
Okay, so... basically, you clear like part of the forest, and usually you chop it down. But there's times where there's human lit fires. Like, do you guys remember a while ago that the Amazon forest was on fire?
Yeah.
Pretty sure that was because it was made by a human. Like the fire was started. And it's basically all the forests are clear for the palm oils. Palm oil it's like kind of like vegetable oil, and it's made a lot because it's cheap. And then it's trees that produce the oil basically. So it says growing the trees that produce the oil requires the leveling of native forests and destruction of local petlands, which it doubles the harmful effect on the ecosystem. The palm oil market was valued at $65 billion in 2015, and it's expected to reach $92 billion in 2021, which is next year.
Dang, that's a lot.
So you can see why people don't want to stop making palm oil, because the market is so high for it.
I mean, we've built kind of like a dependency to it, you could say, like the consumers and the industries, because I mean they're getting money from it, and whether we know it's in there or not, I mean it's in our products. Like imagine how, like with the giant list that Katia just said, imagine how hard it would be to find something that doesn't have palm oil in it.
I'm thinking about it, I'm just gonna start checking the ingredients and stuff.
Yeah.
So how does climate change affect how does it affect somebody's health? That's something else we could talk about.
So like it could like hurt someone because of the constant like weather changes. Someone can get like sick because one day it's cold, one day it's hot, and like every day it's like on and off, so it can like hurt someone like that.
Mm-hmm. Like right now, what's the temperature? Let's see.
I think it's like
Hot.
84. It's 84, but it feels so hot.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's 84. It feels like it's in the 90s.
yeah. And then like I said earlier, Monday, Tuesday is supposed to rain, even though right now temperatures are so high to be so hot.
It's barely May, and it wasn't supposed to get hot till like June.
Even before, I think it was like in March, we had some days where it was like super hot.
Mm-hmm.
A time where we get hot weather. It's more still kind of cold, but we're getting like in the warmer stages. But it was extremely hot, in my opinion, in March.
Yeah.
And I feel like also because we're not used to it, because the weather has been so bipolar, where it's cold one day and then it's like raining, and then suddenly it's freaking hot. Like what?
Yeah. Well, also, like, okay, so for the question, like, how does climate change affect us? I feel like if we're still talking about, like, why people maybe don't accept it, I feel like, in my opinion, it's just that they don't see it as being affected directly. So, like, me and Giselle were talking about before we started the podcast about the, like, hornets and why we think they're even in Washington. And we were talking about how it could be like that the climate is confusing them, which is like it's scientifically proven that does happen with birds and with insects and stuff. And so same thing with like the bee. I know I researched a little bit about the butterflies, and I'm not sure if it happens with bees, but like obviously you guys know that like bees like pollinate our food. They're like what, you know, helps us make our food and grow our crops and stuff. And so I feel like a way that people are affected is that because of climate change, a lot of the species that help us are not able to, you know, I guess do their job properly because they're being affected. And that's why I feel like it doesn't sink into that many people, because they're not directly being affected. Does that make any sense?
It did.
Yeah. Do you guys know how many species can go extinct due to deforestation?
Um,
Can you guys guess?
Do you actually have the number?
Yeah.
Okay.
is it high?
Yeah.
God.
Is it like thousands or like, no, there's no way. Is it like millions?
No, it's in the thousands.
Okay.
Is it like 1,000?
No.
300,000. That's my guess.
No, go lower.
Lower. 10,000.
A little.
15.
No. It's 28,000.
What?
Yeah, up to 28,000 species can go extinct in the next quarter century due to deforestation.
That is crazy.
And then by the year 2030, we might only have like 10% of the rainforest left. And it could disappear in like 100 years if we keep this effort.
Wait, I'm sorry. So it is millions of animals, because what Haley just said was species are going extinct, not animals. Species.
Yeah, so it's like millions of animals can go extinct.
So a whole last like species would just disappear like from the face of the earth. Like that's, do you know how many animals are part of like one species? Like that's a lot.
Yeah.
And it has happened, like where like a lot of animals have gone extinct. Like, let me see. I'm gonna look it up. What
The
animal?
dodo bird.
Yeah.
Start now, like realizing what animals are alive, and in 10 years we look again, like that one species like we were looking at could be completely wiped out in 10 years. Like that's kind of scary to think about.
Okay, so I think, what is this? Let me see what animal this is, because I've never heard of it. Probably because it's went extinct. It's a rodent. Okay. Oh, they're so cute. So the Bramble K. melomes, which lived in the Great Barrier Reef Island, was reportedly to have probably been the first mammal to become extinct because of sea level rises due to human-made climate change.
Whoa.
And then extinction risks of the Adelie penguin are being reported because of global warming. And it's not just animals too, it's plants.
Yeah, it's plants too. And then like different types of trees.
Gosh, that's so sad.
And then I know between 1990 and 2016, we lost like a big chunk of the forest. We lost 502,000 square miles of the forest.
Oh, dude, climate change is such an upsetting topic and frustrating.
And in that area, like the 502,000 square miles, that's like an area that's larger than South Africa. So that's, you can get an idea of how big of the part of the rainforest that we lost was.
Damn.
That's just wow.
That's crazy.
And like the fact that we know this is happening. Well, there's always gonna be, I guess, Trump. You know, people don't like believe in this kind of stuff. But the fact that the majority of us know that it's a fact that this is actually happening, and it still continues to happen. Like just today, like we were talking about how I was looking for like climate change news, and the only thing I could find was negative, even though we're still in quarantine. Like people don't listen. Like it's frustrating.
Also, going back to the animal topic, it says that an average of 137 species of life forms are driven into extinction every day in the world's tropical rainforest due to deforestation.
Oh my God.
I have a thing here. It says decrease of population in 2017. So about 81% of freshwater species, 38% of terrestrial species, and 36% of marine species are in threat of to being extinct because of loss of habitat, overexploitation of species, pollution, invasion of species and diseases, and climate change.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we as a society, we're being kind of selfish when it comes to like deforestation because we don't really think about whose homes we're really taking away.
So we just think of ourselves.
Yeah. That's actually like a really good word to describe it, is selfish and greed, and like I feel like we've been talking about so much, well, I've been talking about so much how people need to realize that it's affecting them, but honestly, like why should they like it's clearly affecting us, and like why shouldn't we change for the sake of like the animals and the habitat? Like it's always, I don't know, it's always about like the society, like, oh, like I can't freaking like leave meat because I love my steaks, or I can't take a break from going in my car every single day and riding my bike because like I'm lazy. Like, you know what I mean? It's like convenience to society. Like if something isn't convenient to us, we're not gonna like do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because it doesn't affect us. Like what's it called? If a species goes extinct, it won't affect us. And like that's just, it's mean to say, but it won't. Like unless that species is something that we eat, people won't care.
Yeah, and I mean even if it was something that affected us, like say, I know like
cows.
Huh?
Like if cows went extinct or something.
Yeah, like even if it was something that affected us, I feel like we're still really like ignorant like to what we're doing. Like I know the whole bee thing has been a huge conversation.
Of the Save the Bee.
Yeah, but I feel like even then, like if you like, I'm freaking terrified if a bee gets near me. But even then, I feel like people will have no problem stepping on a bee or like calling an exterminator to get rid of them, because they don't feel like you were saying, they don't feel like, okay, it's the bee, it's not me, like it's fine, it's not like it's a child that I'm killing, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And even like with the bee species, like they are like directly linked to our survival. Like if we didn't have bees, like who do you think makes our, like they're responsible for the majority of like what makes our food and like pollinating our food.
Yeah.
I think people just kind of love to turn a blind eye to things.
Yeah.
And I feel like climate change is one of them.
It's definitely one of them, because like for example, like the whole virus thing that's going on right now. Like people are protesting a virus.
Like that's
Like,
crazy. That's like the dumbest thing. Like it's that's actually happening.
and it's like, what's it called? I haven't seen any protests against like climate change, but I'm not doubting that that it didn't happen.
Oh, there was, I don't know if you guys saw it, but I think I forgot who showed me, but there was a lady who tried using the feminist movement to protest against COVID-19. And so she was saying my body and my choice whether or not I get to wear a mask. That was literally
I've seen that picture. Are you talking about that picture of the lady with the sign saying like my body, my choice?
Yeah, and like she was refusing to wear like masks.
Yeah, I seen that picture and I thought it's so dumb.
I was like, it is
Like what?
an embarrassment to be linked to people like you. Like
wearing a mask is just one way to like try to help you from not getting something that can kill you.
Yeah.
And they're just protesting. I don't know. I just find it dumb, protesting.
And it has nothing to do with women's rights or like the feminist movement. It's just some stupid person does not want to put a mask on and they're going to go out and protest and link it to a movement that's actually means something.
It's dumb because people are dumb.
I guess we could go more into detail with like our ideas on how to reduce the carbon footprint. I feel like that's easier to talk about.
True.
You want to start us off, Katia?
Sure. So, one way that already started, like almost a year ago, was I became vegetarian. But like I wasn't.
Veggie gang.
Oh my god.
I feel like that's not doing enough because I do eat a lot of dairy.
Yeah.
Which I want to cut out because I want to become vegan. But like I don't know if that would be good for my health. Because I feel like I wouldn't eat. Because being vegetarian, I lost weight. Because I wasn't eating enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like you don't necessarily have to cut something completely out of your life and just kind of like minimalize how much of it you're taking, like intaking into your body.
Like also, I try not to go like in the car a lot. Also, what else? I recycle. Like literally every bottle I get, my mom and I recycle. So I feel like that's a way I have kind of reduced my carbon footprint.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
Well, one thing I try to do is to lessen my meat. So I kind of recently I haven't really been eating meat much too often. I kind of try to avoid like meat.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I kind of want to try to go vegetarian, but I kind of find it hard to. But yeah. But I feel like one day I am gonna have like the full motivation to go vegetarian and then try to go vegan.
And that's like it's not forcing people to be like vegetarian. Like it's just kind of saying like cut some meat out of your diet.
Yeah.
Eat it every day.
And then from there, I feel like it gets 100% easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my topic is like agriculture. So something that like comes up a lot in my topic is like people's obsession on overeating meat. Like that's one of the biggest problems. It's not that it's not that people are eating meat, it's that people are overindulging in it and like having ridiculous amounts of meat in their diet. Like I don't like, we all know those people that are like meat lovers, right? That they like breakfast, lunch, and dinner is like meat. It's like, I don't know, like I don't think that like being vegetarian or vegan or whatever is for everyone. Like I definitely didn't think that it was for me, even though I am. But like it's just about like minimalizing your intake. Like you don't have, like nobody's telling you, like Katia has been saying, like nobody's telling you that you have to completely like stop eating meat to, you know, help the planet. It's just about how much of it you're actually eating, like to the point where it's not excessive, and like that does make a difference. Like I know, like I think we learned about it in like economics of like supply and demand. Like if we can find a way for all of us to just like minimize the amount of meat that we eat, we won't have to produce as much because we're not eating as much. If you don't eat a lot of meat won't be produced, and that's, I don't know, like little baby steps, and that actually makes a difference.
One thing I've noticed though, like when you mentioned like you're like you don't eat meat, people are always just like, how, like, or like why, like, are they rub it in your face that they eat meat?
Yeah, I don't know, like people are so shocked by it, and it's like I don't know, it's not that hard. Like I feel like most people that are shocked by it have never actually tried it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and also like going back kind of to like what Giselle was saying. Giselle, I'm gonna jump in and talk about you. So like what were you saying that that like Giselle's minimized her like meat intake? Giselle's being very humble because Giselle is the type of person that has this weird like obsession that we both share for like the trend of sustainable living. Giselle, don't lie. But like she goes on like full on like shopping sprees on Amazon or online where she'll look for like reusable Ziploc bags, reusable tote bags, metal straws.
Literally, like over like because I'm home more because of quarantine, I've been like going into more shopping for reusable stuff, like reusable produce bags, because I realized how many plastic bags we go through at the grocery store just putting like fruits and vegetables in them, that I want to buy like reusable ones. But now because of this whole corona thing, we can't bring in any reusable product.
Yeah.
So it kind of like upsets me because I'm just like, I don't want to use plastic. I want to
I know at Trader Joe's they don't use plastic. They use paper bags.
Yeah. But like, because I noticed that we use so many plastic bags that I just want to like cut that out.
Yeah.
Like 100% like cut out, but it's kind of hard during these days.
And that's a good thing too. Also, going back to what Giselle was saying, that it's hard to become a vegetarian. Like, it is, because what's it called? I tried it my freshman year, and it was hard for me because, like, you know, it's hard, especially when you come from culture that eats a lot of meat. So for us being Latinas, we eat a lot of meat.
Yeah.
So when I'm a vegetarian, it's like your family questioning too, like, why are you going vegetarian? Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
It's kind of just like, oh, sorry.
I think my mom to like slowly start cutting off so much meat from the meals, because before it was like every single day the meal had something to do with meat. So like, Mom, how about we just like slowly stop having everything with meat? And she agreed. So now every other, like, it's like every meal isn't involving meat anymore. It's like super different.
That's good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that you fully have to stop eating meat.
Yeah.
It's like what you're doing is good now.
It's like twice a week that we have meat, but it's kind of getting like rare in my house to eat a lot of meat.
Yeah. Oh, and also like another good thing that like comes from quarantine was, well, it's good and bad, is that they're reducing like the sizes that you're allowed to take for certain families.
Yeah.
So, and today, when I was watching the news with my mom, they were saying that like a big thing that they've reduced was meat. Like you're only allowed to take a certain amount of meat home, which I don't know like if I think it's like a really good thing or a really bad thing or like in between, but I feel like that's also forcing people to go and find other alternatives for their meat.
Yeah.
It's also kind of a bad thing because the other day I went to Safeway and all the vegetarian stuff and vegan stuff were gone.
I know, dude, there's no way me and Katia have talked about this. There's not that many vegetarian people that like, as someone who like used to go and buy like a bunch of like vegetarian foods and stuff, it was always stocked up. And then all of a sudden like quarantine happened and like everyone decided that they wanted to buy vegetarian food. And I'm just like, what am I supposed to eat?
I feel like people take advantage of that because it's like fully stocked and they don't really think
That
about
goes back to the
those.
selfishness topic.
The what?
Selfishness topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the only thing that was left in the vegan thing was a vegan burger and some tofu.
And I feel like that's not fair.
Haley, do you want to talk about what you have been doing to reduce your carbon footprint?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, I've been trying to encourage my cousin and I to go vegetarian, at least for like a week or two. And then, I've also recycled like a lot. Like since I have like my small business, not sponsored.
Okay, at Haley's Gems.
I use like let's say I have like a shoebox. I use those shoe boxes to like put like some of my materials inside and stuff like that to keep myself organized. Instead of like just throwing them away and never using them again, I try to like reuse them. I don't know. There's just like lots of things you can make with like the things you're about to throw away, like plastics and boxes and all of that. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. We haven't even been eating that much meat either, like ever since quarantine started. So I feel like that's also a good thing. Oh, and we garden. We've been gardening a lot outside.
About that.
Yes, it's been pretty nice. You should talk about your salad.
But yeah, your garden salad.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I was gonna copy Katia and say I was vegetarian, but I'll do the garden. So I started a vegetable garden. When did I start it? Like the beginning of spring. And it took us about 2 or 3 weeks to get like a full harvest of lettuce. And so we were able to get like, it was like 2 big bundles, but they were like the size of like 4 bundles of lettuce that you would get at the store. And we've been like eating like salad from that. And like, I don't know, I have like 4 different lettuces. I have spinach, kale. But yeah, so that's what I have been doing. It's healthier for the planet. I have not been using fertilizer. Or
Do you have
like,
a compost?
No, I've actually been talking to my mom about that because I don't know, I'm pretty proud of my garden because I feel like I'm really good at like reusing stuff. So for example, instead of buying like cardboard seed starters, we're using eggs. So like we'll crack the egg and we'll use the seashell to plant it. And then once it's grown, you can actually put the egg straight into the ground. And so I was talking to my mom about like wanting to start a compost bin because I feel like, I don't know, like it's really easy and it's better than going to the store and like getting like compost that's like full of like fertilizer and pesticides and stuff. Like I don't feel like we actually need that because like my garden's done pretty fine and I haven't used any of that stuff.
That's actually kind of cool though. Like I always wanted to grow my own garden.
Yeah, and I feel like people like underestimate how easy it's gonna be because it actually was like really easy. Like all the every single vegetable that's in my garden, I started from the seed. So like I didn't buy them pre-grown and they've grown so like well and they're doing so good. And there's like so many, like you were saying, Katia, about like compost, like there's so much stuff in our daily life that we can put into gardens and stuff, and we can get so much food in our backyard. And like, not only does that save us money,
that saves us a trip to the store.
Hmm.
I don't know. I recommend gardens. Like, they're easy. They save you money. They're good for the environment. And you honestly don't need a lot to start a garden. Like, you don't even, like, if you have good dirt in your backyard, you don't even need soil. Like, just plant some stuff.
And for today's podcast joke, Haley will be saying it.
Okay, let me find.
A super quick current event that relates to Katia's topic. This is the only positive thing I could find, was that we have had the biggest carbon footprint crash since ever.
Wow.
And that includes like when we've like been in like wars and other diseases have happened. So good job, guys. Stay inside. That's it.
Heck yeah.
How many climate scientists does it take to screw a light bulb?
How many?
None. There's no known evidence that light bulbs burn out. Period. Shut up.
Yeah, Haley, that was a flop.
Let me find another one. Okay. What did Mars say to Saturn?
What, Haley?
Give me a ring sometime.
That's the one, Haley. You did not disappoint.
Thank you.
That is it for this week's episode.
Thanks for joining.
Tune in Friday for the agriculture episode. Don't forget to leave a small carbon footprint, as small as you can.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel.
And share.
Yes.
With all your friends.
Educate them about a problem that we are all facing.
And if you are in the academy with us, you are legally required to share the link to our podcast. But that's it.
Yes.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.